Yeah, back again. Coach, teach, podfather, PT, call me what you want. Number 28. Is it the Marshall Falk episode? The Adrian Peterson episode? Arenado, Cristiano Ronaldo? Who could it be? Tell us, who is the best 28 ever? This could be it. This could be the best 28 ever.
So I have it for the three of us. The Cowboys fan, got to have Darren Woodson in there. The
Yeah.
Yankees fan, got to have Greg Nettles in there. And then for the Cardinals fan, Nolan Arenado's got to be on there. So this is the Woodson Nettles Arenado pod. That's what this is. 28. Fellas, 28. That's amazing.
Is that what it is?
We made it.
Yeah.
We made it. We made it. Make sure you guys subscribe and follow as you're watching this. Okay. Yeah, today we got a couple topics that we're going to discuss. We have let's see, a game I like to call Blame Pie. So there's always blame thrown around at people. So we're going to figure out who gets the most blame. Coach is going to talk about the resurgent, the resplendent, the splendiferous Cardinals.
Yes, sir.
Podfather is going to have a little a therapy session with the NBA Finals.
He's got to get on the couch.
He does. He needs to lay down.
Yeah, I'm on the couch today. Came prepared. It's not going to be nice. It's not going to be pretty. But I will tell you what I've done today. I want you guys to know, and I want you to take notes for any gentleman that may be watching this show. Father's Day is right around the corner. So you know what I did? I reached up in my handy dandy cabinet today and I saw my wife's cup and I've used it all day long. And it says tough like a mother. Tough as a mother. You see my cup? Tough as a mother. Yeah, because dads rock too. And so I want you guys to realize that, just tough as a mother. That's what I am today.
Tough as a mother.
Yeah, let's get right into the therapy session, Podfather. Go ahead, man. I'm ready. I got my notes. I got my notepad. I'm ready to talk to you and to talk you off a ledge because it wasn't great last night.
Let's break this down. Can we first of all? I want to talk about conference finals is what I want to talk about today. So as everybody knows, we're the 3 for 3 podcast. We each bring one thing. We talk 3 target topics in our episode. And so I want to lead this off today, and I want to talk about conference finals in the NBA. It's been great, amazing basketball, some really good games. I'm going to start out with the Heat Celtics, okay? Because I have to finish off with the Lakers Nuggets. So I'm going to start Heat Celtics. Game 1 didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. Jason Tatum, another struggle fest on the court, shooting 40% from the field, missing clutch shots. Joe Mazzulla, absolutely outcoached by Spo. It's not even close. Boston is the more talented roster. Boston has the best top end talent out of the 2 rosters. But when you cannot put it together, rotation, timeouts, calling plays after timeouts, simple inbounds, good shots, getting a bucket when need be. We'll talk about that later with the Lakers also. But man, I feel for Celtics fans today, teach as we go into game 2. I do like the Celtics in game 2, but it was really evident this is going to be a series in game 1. Really evident, more than what I thought. What are your guys' thoughts on Eastern Conference Finals game 1, leading into game
2? So I got a couple things. First of all, anytime a game or a team is coming off of a game 7, it's very hard for them to get back up for that first game of the next series. That's shown through history. Second of all, again, this Heat team is one of the best 8 seeds ever. Probably the best 8 seed since that Knicks team played the Houston Rockets.
All right,
one of the best 8 seeds.
I got to throw a flag on you real quick, Teach. I got to throw a flag on you real quick. When we talk
Go ahead. You're paying for the therapy session, so
time out. because we talked about it a couple weeks ago. We talked about maybe a couple months ago. We talked about the bubble championship. We talked about the Lakers, and you said the Lakers had the easiest ride of any championship that had ever been that had ever happened, that had ever been won. This Miami Heat team is very similar to that Heat team the Lakers beat in that bubble. So, are they the best 8 seed or the worst Eastern Conference champions? We got to figure out which one it is. Tell me.
Uh, whoa, 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 whoa! You are putting cart way ahead of the horse, buddy. Okay, so first of all, let's not crown them yet. Two. Can I continue with mine? Okay, I get you're heated because the Lakers. I understand. All right, so you're a little on edge. Take some breaths, do some woosah, light a candle, do whatever you got to do. Okay. Third of all, I think this is one of the better 8 seeds since that Patrick Ewing team where Patrick Ewing went down and the Knicks got better. That's a team that lost to the Houston Rockets. I'm sure the Podfather remembers that. I don't know if Coach does.
94, 95.
So, third, what's wild is the Heat. Not only did Jimmy Butler have himself a game, he is Himmy Butler, okay, but they also made 52% of their threes. You're not going to beat any team that makes 52% of their threes at a decent volume. Now, what you're saying is absolutely correct. Spo might be the best playoff coach in basketball, not only right now, but he's probably up there top 5 ever for playoff in-game coaches. Everything you're saying is completely justified. Boston does have the better roster, better high-end talent, but there's a reason that for the last 3 years, they've struggled in the third quarter. This isn't just a Mazzulla thing, even though he struggles. Let me finish this, and then you can go right ahead. The last 3 years, they have a sluggish third quarter all the time. That deals with their stars, right? Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, Marcus Smart, not being able to get up. But I also think there's some coaching in that as well. Now, you can't say it's just Mazzulla because, again, Mazzulla, Ime Udoka, Brad Stevens, 3 years, 3 coaches, same results for the third quarter. They have to be better. They just have to be better. They have to come out better.
2 questions for you, Teach, before we turn it over to Coach really quick. Love your analysis of it. Number 1, if Udoka is still the coach, do you win game 1?
Yeah, I think if anybody is the coach, I believe in them more than Mazzulla. Mazzulla, his ATOs are terrible. I think so. My theory, right? After listening and reading some stuff, and then you start watching the game, is that Al Horford's doing most of the coaching. Yeah. Mazzulla's not. Al Horford is doing most of the coaching. If you flash to the timeouts or the ATO plays and stuff like that, right? It's Al Horford drawing stuff up. It's Al Horford being the one that says, "Hey, this is what we're doing. This is the rotation." And you cannot be a player coach in today's league. I understand maybe certain players can. LeBron James, by all means, draw it up, show it out, show off, because he probably knows what he's doing more than any other coach except for maybe Spo, right?
Or Darvin.
But Al Horford's not that guy. No, I'd take James over Darvin Ham right now, Coach. I mean, is that what you're seeing with the Celtics?
Well, what I'm seeing with the Celtics is not really with the Celtics.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, jump the gun. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, one more question real quick. Are you more impressed with playoff Jimmy or playoff Jamal?
Jimmy.
Okay. They're close.
And I shouldn't be after what he did last year. You know, in last year's playoffs, he averaged 36. I think it was 36, 7, and 5. I think I'm more impressed with Jimmy and his cast of characters that he has on his team. Listen, I was talking to a fan, a subscriber, a former student at the school, this kid, Addison Meinhardt, who knows his basketball. He's a huge Celtic fan, huge basketball fan. And he and I were talking, we're going, listen, if Jimmy beats the Celtics, okay, it is what it is. You know, if Jimmy and Bam beat the Celtics, what I can't have is Gabe Vincent, Max Strus. I can't have an NPC beating my team, okay? I can't have a non-playable character, some guy who's just walking around there for showpieces, completely decimate my team. And what do we see game 1? Strus and Vincent 15, 16 points each. That's a problem. So that's an issue.
Coach, what's your thoughts?
So my thoughts are a little bit different. It's not so much focused on Boston as it is focused on. I was out of everybody in the playoffs. This is the one team I didn't want Boston to face. I just don't know why.
You've said
actually, I do kind of know why. I think they got grit. They fight. They get in your face. They're tough. And if you try to play tough, if Marcus Smart wants to get tough with them, he can try that all he wants. They're gonna meet it with more toughness. And I think that's what it comes. And this game it's going to go a little beyond the X's and O's. This next game is a must win for Boston. Boston has to pull this one out. It is an absolute must win because, like the playoff record right now for the home teams on all the records are, I think the Denver's undefeated at home, Lakers are undefeated at home, Miami's undefeated at home, and Boston's sub 500 or right at 500. And that's why it scares me right now. If you go down 2-0 and you got to go to Miami, I hope you could pull out one in Miami. I don't think they could pull out two. And that's what's scary. That's what the scary part is. And I think Miami might just have Boston's number. That's why this next game better be a game 7 type of effort. Every play from the jump, from the tip, everything. Boston needs to have the maximum amount of effort they can give. I'm not saying they're going to give more effort than Miami because I don't even know if they can give more effort than Miami because Miami just seems that they're just built that way. But they need to give the maximum effort every single second of the game to even pull this one out. This has to be a game 7. I think Miami feels it too. I think Miami knows if they could pull this one out, they can get greedy and take this one. Ooh, it's going to be a really tough pill to climb. Considering they got to go to Miami 3 more times, and that's just, I don't know if Boston could beat Miami 1 out of 3 times in Miami, much less 2, because Miami's home is really good.
A little pushback, not much, little pushback. You're absolutely right. I mean, if you just look at the last 3 years, right? Boston's playoff home record is 10-10. So this is historical. This isn't, well, that's just this year. It's weird. No, this team has not played well at home the last 3 years. Now, the flip side of that is they played great on the road. And like you were saying, the Heat is just the team that matches up great with Boston. You know, it took, 7 games last year, and a Jimmy Butler three-pointer almost caused Boston not to go to the finals. And then 2 years ago, they beat them. So we're talking about a team that historically matches up great with Boston. Like you said, if it turns into a rock fight, if it turns into, okay, whatever, hey, now it's just imposing will on the other team. But I do think there's a huge coaching. You know, if you're doing, I know you and your son Lane always do the, all right, let's go player for player, right? If you're doing that, you say, better coach, Miami. Better starters, yeah, it's probably Boston. Wild card factor, it's probably Miami because they always have one of those games, whether in years past it was Tyler Hero, whether, like I said, it could be Kevin Love this year, could be Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, whoever. One of those games just comes from them.
Speaking of, is Hero out for the playoffs? Is he coming back?
No,
he said he was going to be ready for game 1, and he didn't play. So
they're saying game 3 now.
That's a huge lift off the bench. That's a huge lift if he comes off the bench. Huge lift.
Maybe I don't think he'll be coming off the bench. I don't know if this is a true, hey, he's going to be ready for game 3, or if it's like, hey, he's 80%, but that's better than most, so get him out there because it always takes a while for them to get their sea legs.
Yeah.
All right, y'all ready to move on?
Can we talk? Can we talk? Are you ready?
Yeah.
I'm just, you go ahead, man. You just go ahead and spin your little top all the way until you're ready.
So I made a post 5 days ago. 5 days ago. On a prediction that I made that the Lakers were going to sweep the Denver Nuggets. Now, why would I make that post? Why? What kind of crazy?
Because you're a Cowboys fan and it translates the rest of your life.
What kind of crazy madman would make a post that the Lakers are going to sweep the Denver Nuggets? Right? But let's look at it. The Lakers are the number one defense in the NBA since the trade deadline. The Lakers
Half court defense. Yes, half court.
the Lakers arguably have, when healthy, the best player on the floor at all times, Anthony Davis. The Lakers have who some consider the GOAT in LeBron James. The Lakers also have
Injured, but yes, a goat still, nonetheless.
whatever. The Lakers also have D'Angelo Russell. They also have Austin Reeves. They also have Vanderbilt with length on the wing. Rui playing out of his mind. Out of his mind. And we signed Tristan Thompson. I mean, if that doesn't mean championship, I don't know what does. And here I am. I make the prediction. We're going to sweep the Nuggets. Game 1 happens. Anthony Davis puts up a quiet 40-point, 10-board night. How many games are the Lakers going to lose when LeBron goes for 20, 6 and 6, let's just give an average, and AD goes for 40 and 10? How many games do you think the Lakers are going to lose?
Not many.
Not
Quite
many.
a few if they're playing from behind by 15, 16 points from jump.
So we got to start out with the coaching decision to start 3 guards against a long, lengthy, shooting Denver Nuggets. Makes zero sense to me. Darvin Ham, what are you doing? So then, after game 1, Darvin Ham goes to the podium and he says, "We'll be fine. Trust me." So I then make another post and I say, "Okay, Darvin, I trust you. I think we'll be fine too." And then game 2 happens. I want to throw this scenario at you. How many games do the Lakers lose when 2 role players go for 20 plus points, shoot over 50%, and you have AD and LeBron on your team? How many games do the Lakers lose when they hold an opponent to 108 points and their best player doesn't score any points in a fourth quarter? How many games would you guess the Lakers would lose?
The last one.
The last one.
I would say the bigger problem is if you have 2 role players scoring 20 points, then obviously something's not working with your stars and they're not getting shots.
No. Here's the other part. Our stars had amazing shots last night. Amazing shots. Matter of fact, LeBron had fast break, layup, fast break, layup. Missed all of them. I counted 4 or 5. Anthony Davis, his 6 to 8 foot shot last night, little hooks, little floaters, little this, little that, nothing falling. Nothing falling. And then Darvin Ham, even still, we're down by 2 after having a 9-minute stretch in the third quarter that we did not score a bucket. We're only down by 2. You can't call a play. Get somebody a play to get 1 bucket. Break the ice. That's all we needed. Man, let me tell you something. I'm going to go Lakers win game 3, Lakers win game 4, Lakers win game 5, and Lakers win game 6 in LA, and they take the series 4-2 because we're the better team. We're the tougher team. We're the more talented team. We've got to put it together. It's sickening. I'm upset. LeBron James, he's 0 for 10 in 2 games from three-pointer. Why are we still shooting three-pointers instead of going to the basket? Why are we not posting up somebody? Why, when he gets a switch with Jamal Murray, he's not just automatically backing him down into the bucket? I don't understand it. You guys,
I got one for you,
Podfather.
Podfather.
Please help me out.
LeBron James he's 1-19 in his last in the fourth quarter for 3-point shots in the playoffs. He's 1-19.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Teach, you want to go or you want me to go?
You go ahead, buddy. You're the LeBron James guy.
All right.
I'll just offer my unbiased opinions at the end.
So LeBron looks like Father Time caught him. It looks like it caught him wholeheartedly. But I'll tell you where it caught him at. It really didn't caught him in his game. It caught him in the injury bug. The guy's hobbling. He's falling to the ground every other play. Why? Because he can't land on his ankle and support his weight when he's flying through the lane. And you could tell it's affecting everything. And it looks like it hurts bad. Like a couple times it wasn't a fake hurt. It was like, ow, that really hurt type ordeal. And you could tell he's just laboring through it. And that's fine. It's fine. He's injured. He's shooting bad. He has a bad game. But hold on. So, but the problem really isn't at that. The problem is that you're okay. Well, if it's not working, stop doing it. And as a diehard LeBron fan, you can't make no excuses for taking 3-point shots. As a diehard LeBron fan, stop trying to do another Kobe tribute dunk, and just dunk the stupid ball or lay it up. As a LeBron fan, there's no excuse of missing short shots at the rim. But also as a LeBron fan, there's no excuse for AD doing what he did either. And to what you're saying of winning the next 4 games, I'll tell you where I disagree. I disagree because I believe Murray is a better player than he played last night, and that's knowing he scored that many points in the fourth quarter.
23.
He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. They were giving him the Draymond Green treatment. That's how bad he was shooting. And then all of a sudden, he wasn't missing anything at all. And so that's why I said he'll get it throughout the whole game. So, yeah, we were up, but I think it was a mirage. I think but Denver just started struggling. Should we have been up more? Should we have more of a lead? Yeah. Should we have been able to hold on to the lead? Absolutely. Should we be able to call for somebody to get a layup or a bucket? Yes. And for the love of God, I don't know who coaches people, but when you're up, the last time I checked, you don't shoot threes religiously every time you're up. You try to drive to the basket. And that's their game. Their game is driving and free throw shooting. And it seems like they want away from their game plan. And yes, it was LeBron James leading the charge going away from it. Now, I will say, the last 5 3-pointers that I watched, they weren't horribly missed. They were in and out. All of Davis's were in and out. Davis could have easily 2 inches combined on his last 3 shots. He goes 3 for 3, and we win the game. Like it's like that's how close they were. LeBron's were rimming in and out. But I will say, it's still every time he shot it, it started getting. You'll remember this. We used to go through this all the time. I started going through the, oh, no, don't do it. I felt like it was Kevin Love shooting threes out there. I was like, no, don't do it not again.
No. Yes.
Yes, but guess what?
No. Yes.
I didn't get to say yes last night, not even one time. So it is what it is. He can kill a team when he makes a couple threes. He can kill his own team when he misses all 6 of it. And that's why I think that LeBron James max should only have 4 3-point shots every game. That should be, somebody should put a lock on his ability and take that, like you take the button out of the controller until you go past the 3-point. Once you have 4, you got to go past it. Unless you make all 4, then you get a bonus challenge to shoot for a 5th. Until then, you got to drive. And I think that's part of the game. But I think AD playing bad. I think we got some bad calls. AD's dunk, his tip back was not over the rim. There's a lot of factors that come into it. But guess what? Denver is undefeated at home and one of the 2 best teams in the whole league at home. It should be no surprise they're up 2-0. Do I think the Lakers could steal it? Yeah.
2 things for you guys. 2 things. Number 1, there were a couple instances, you're not wrong, Coach, about LeBron. A couple instances where I saw him try to make a layup or even get up, and he could not get any lift off his foot. There was 0 lift. It was crazy. I was like, man. Number 2 is D'Angelo Russell is minus 41 for the series. So with D'Angelo Russell, the Lakers are minus 41. Without D'Angelo Russell, the Lakers are like plus 10. So we're playing winning basketball without, but we're losing by 50 with. I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying he's the sole problem. I'm just putting it out there. Teach, what you got?
So I think it's okay to overreact, right? Part of being fans of anything means you go fanatic, you go crazy, right? That's the whole part of being a fan. Uh, yeah, it's probably part father time, probably part altitude. I mean, they're playing in Denver. I I don't know that his efforts, that LeBron James' overall efforts have been, or so I maybe his efforts have been different. He's played the old man game. I'm going to walk the ball up the court. And I'm going to shoot more. Versus Golden State, hey, not really big bodies. I'm going to go ahead and drive. I'm going to go downhill and drive. Right? That's all we heard last series was attack, attack, attack. We're attacking the basket. So part of it probably is father time. Part of it is Denver has some trees. They got bigger guys. You're going to feel them. His results have kind of been the same though. LeBron James has kind of been the same. He was the same against Memphis, the same against Golden State. He's been the same the first 2 games. The shots aren't falling, but the results at the end, field goal percentage is the same. He's not making his threes. Okay, I get that. Yesterday the Lakers outshot Denver percentage wise. Denver is a great home team. Maybe things are catching up now. I understand this is a different team post trade deadline, but if I'm a Laker fan, which I am not, but if I'm a Laker fan, if I am hoping that D'Angelo Russell can steal me a game, if I'm really having to count on Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura. Again, everybody loves Rui right now. Again, he was a ghost against Golden State. He was awesome against Memphis. He was a ghost against Golden State. Didn't show up at all. So what are you really counting on?
Really,
he didn't show up against Golden State.
Really quick.
We're counting on others. We're
Who
counting on
like
the others.
like who? I mean, they have an 8-man rotation. Yeah, it's an 8-man rotation. So I get, as a team, you have to count on everybody. But part of that might just be you guys convincing yourself, hey, Lonnie Walker can hit shots. He's really this good. Rui is really this good. Vanderbilt is really this good. D'Angelo Russell, yeah, he's really that good. And maybe that's great because it shows you have hope. I don't see it. I said Denver in 5 at the beginning. I don't think. I think this Denver team is different. And what really sold me was the way they played Phoenix in Phoenix. That's what sold me.
So you're staying with your pick, Denver in 5?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, Coach, what's your pick for the series? Sounded like you were changing.
At this point, I'm praying that Lakers can win in 6 because I'd hate to go back to Denver for a Game 7.
Lakers in 9? You're gonna say Lakers in 9? We got next.
Can we go 8? Can we go 8?
So
honestly, I'm staying on 6 because I don't know if they can win a game. Actually, you know what? I will say Lakers in 7 because I actually think that, honest to God, at the end of the day, they came back and almost won Game 1. They should have won Game 2.
They almost won Game 1 because Denver completely took their foot off the gas, though.
Absolutely, and they almost lost. That's why almost. I didn't say they deserved to.
Yeah, if it goes to a game 7, if it goes to a Game 7, anything can happen, and I don't know that I'm betting against LeBron James in any Game 7.
Yeah, that's the only thing I'm saying. If I'm going to say Lakers in 7 because I could tell LeBron's been there more than. Has he been there more than every active player in the NBA? Yeah, he's been there more than anyone.
Gotta be. Gotta be, right?
More than the next probably 2 or 3 combined, honestly,
Bro,
Game 7s.
He's been there more than 2 of the franchises.
He's just got a lot of experience.
He's been there more than 2 of the franchises.
Yeah, it's probably.
Like, let's just talk about it, right?
He's probably been there more than all of Denver.
Yeah, and so let's end it here. A couple tidbits for you guys. I saw last night LeBron James take the most 2 to 3 minute breaks I've ever seen him take. It was like you look, he was on the bench for 2 minutes, came back in. He was on the bench for a minute, came back in. On the bench for 3 minutes, came back in. It was little spurty kind of take a break type stuff. It was wild, right? Number 2 is this. Denver did what you're supposed to do as a playoff team. You're supposed to win at home. It's not a series until you win one on the road. right? That's the way NBA basketball goes. It's not a series till you win one on the road. And so I like our chances. I think LA takes 3 and 4. I think we then steal momentum from Denver. Denver's never been there before, right? And so I think if we can get momentum from Denver, we take 2 at home. They go back feeling a lot of pressure in Denver, and I don't know if they got the guys to handle that. And so I'm gonna keep my pick at Lakers at 6. I know I texted some crazy stuff last night and in the last game how I hated everybody, but I do sometimes, but I'm still sticking with the Lakers in 6.
Look, two quick things I want to put up. James said last series, every time you lose, you're the worst team in the NBA in the playoffs. Every time you win, you're the best team. 2 home wins will do a lot to change the minds of all of Denver and Mike and Malone, who just seems to want to run his mouth about everything. And then the other thing is, one thing I'll say about LeBron last night, his defense was there. He was probably the best defensive player on the Lakers team last night. He held Jokic on him 2 for 11 shooting while LeBron directly covered him. And I'll give him that, but he's got to fix those other things. He has to fix layups. He has to. Just take less 3-pointers.
I like LeBron on Jokic better than I like Rui because of the size and the strength. I think LeBron that can be something
that says
to
a lot.
work with. Yeah.
I think he's the only player that can match wits with Jokic.
Yeah, I think that's where it comes from. I think it's more intelligence factor than anything. But the problem is when you wear him out on defense, then somebody else has got to put up 30. It's gonna he can't do both anymore.
It's got to be
can't do both,
and rightly so. AD's got to put up 40 if he's doing that on Jokic. He has to. It's not if he has to. He's got to find a way. Yeah.
So AD has a lot of responsibilities for the next couple games, right? He's going to either shoulder the weight of responsibility or he's going to catch a lot of the blame, right? Now, we've seen a lot of coaching changes in the last couple weeks. You know, the 3 winningest franchises since 2020-21, right? That season, Phoenix, Milwaukee, Philadelphia. What do they all have in common, fellas?
No coach.
Getting a new head coach.
They're all on LinkedIn right now. They're all on those sites trying to find a new coach. So I have a little game I call Blame Pie, right? This is a favorite of Ryan Russillo, Steve Cerruti. Love it. It's called Blame Pie. So how much blame when a team fails is doled out amongst individuals or responsibilities of people, right? So an example, right? For me, right, the essential question is how much responsibility does an NBA coach truly have? How much blame do they get? So I think just in general, a coach is responsible for about 30% of a team's success or failures. 30%, little less than a third. I think the players account for half of the pie. I think they're at 50%. And the GMs, the guys who build the team or pivot halfway through the season, try and make changes, it's about 20%. So that's what I think. All right. So I want to go over Milwaukee, Phoenix, and Philadelphia, and I want you to tell me what you think their part of the blame pie is, the coach who was fired. So Milwaukee, right? Mike Budenholzer. All right. So, coach, what percentage of the blame pie does Coach Bud get for their demise to Jimmy?
I'm doing out of 30%, right?
No, we're doing out of 100%. Is he 100% at fault? What is he?
He is 20%. I don't believe it was that much on him. And this might be sometimes it's more of a theme, but for Bolden, I was not a fan of him early. I'm still not a real big fan of him, but he's won an NBA championship. So, I mean, like when you start doing those things, you elevate who you are. And for me, you can't take that away. It's his team. It was his team. I think the pieces don't fit as well as everybody wants them to fit. It seems nice, but when you start breaking it down, like they got Giannis, they just got a lot of big guys. It's just a lot of weird pieces. Yeah, they won a chip with this team, but everybody can also say that they probably wouldn't have won a chip if Kevin Durant wore the shoe size he probably needs to wear. And so like little things like this matter certain ways. And So I would say only about 20%. I won't give him more than I would say. Would you believe would be the natural average of 30% blame? I'll give him a little less. At the end of the day, I think that that Miami came to fight and Milwaukee wasn't ready. I don't think they were expecting that much energy out of that. I think they were actually playing them like they were an 8 seed and not a Jimmy Butler led team, which they should have been an Eric Spoelstra coach team. I think that they let off the gas and then they never recovered. They got hit in the mouth and then they just didn't know what to do from there.
Okay. Podfather, what percentage of the blame pie are you giving Coach Bud?
I think I'm gonna give Coach Bud like 5%. I think 5% is fair. I think,
Five?
Ooh,
Five?
like nothing.
yeah, I think that the injury bug hit Milwaukee pretty bad. That team is built to surround Giannis with shooting. Um, Grayson Allen went down for a little while. You had Middleton who never came back fully healthy. True Holiday had a great year. Uh, Lopez has got some age on him. Giannis went down again, and so I think they it happens to every team every so often, and Milwaukee just hit that. Now, do I think it's a not a? I don't think it's a bad thing to get fresh blood in Milwaukee. Like I think that's a great thing because I think Budenholzer had his limits offensively in order to take that team to the next level. But to be fired after winning a championship, 2 years removed, I don't know. I think he's probably 5%.
All right. So, in true 3 for 3 fashion, I went opposite. I said 50%. I said he deserves half the blame. Yes, there were injuries, and this is what I wrote. Yes, you have injuries, but when you have Giannis, defensive player of the year, right? Not current, but a former defensive player of the year. When you have Drew Holiday, when you have Brooke Lopez, who are both on the all defensive team this year, and you are known as Coach Bud is known as a defensive guy, and you cannot stop Jimmy Butler, that's a problem. That's a problem. I think that's why I give him 50% of the blame. You get more than the normal percentage. Bud trains his players throughout the year, how he plays them. And we've talked about this, coach, many times that his players, we're going to play 32, 34 minutes a game. That's it. When playoff basketball comes and you have to play 40 minutes, his players don't show up. That's a coach fault. Okay. If your little league players aren't used to playing postseason rules, that's your fault as a coach because you didn't teach them. You didn't train them up to that. So all different. That's okay. Well, I mean, listen, we're supposed to have different opinions, right?
Absolutely,
It's
yeah.
the name of the show. Let's go on to Monty Williams. So Monty Williams, coach, why don't you lead off with Monty Williams?
I
How
will.
much of the blame pie?
He gets 0% of the blame pie. None. Not 1%, not one iota. This was a flawed roster going in. They did everything they could do to get to a point. This is more of the organization just wanting to make a change. I think that they went in thinking that they're smarter than they think they are, which I still think they're smarter than they think they are. Because Monty Williams, I'd fire Ham right now and put Monty Williams in to finish the series. Monty Williams is 10 times the coach Darvin Ham is. Monty Williams, there's only one or two coaches in the NBA. I wouldn't kick off my roster for Monty Williams to start coaching. And so I don't understand what Phoenix is doing with that flawed roster. It was top heavy, and it was extremely top heavy, and it's not really their fault. They made a trade, they went for it, and it just didn't pay off. You thought that they could carry, but you can't score 120 points with two players on average. It's just not going to work, and that's the problem. Is they just didn't have enough depth. And I think they can get it, and I think they will come. I think they got a lot of moves to make this offseason. Whatever coach that comes in there is going to have they're going to have a great record, and they're going to look really smart. But I don't think they're better than Monty Williams. I don't care who they get. It's not going to be better than Monty Williams.
0% from Coach Goose Egg. After he's done coaching, the Lakers, could he fly to Boston the next night and coach the Celtics?
Yeah.
I'd love that. That's
Sharon, Sharon is Karen.
he is a gunslinger for hire coach. Podfather, how much of the blame pie
Yeah, I don't
do you
mind.
give Monty Williams?
I don't mind sharing Monty either. I'm gonna go with Coach on this one. I think it's 0. I think Phoenix. Even at the start of the year, the roster was flawed. You had an elderly CP3. You had Devin Booker, who plays zero defense, is all offense. Cam Johnson never reached his potential. They were not getting what Bridges did in Brooklyn from Bridges in Phoenix. Aiton always does Aiton things. And then what you did was you took all of your assets outside of Booker, Aiton, and CP, and you traded them to Brooklyn for Kevin Durant. You were, running a 7-man rotation at times, and then that 7-man rotation included players like whom, right? And so, Monty, look, we'll take you in LA. We love you, Monty. You're gonna look great in LA, purple and gold, and so yeah, 0%. And listen, even in the playoffs, man, I think it could have been different in the playoffs. I think CP3 got injured and did CP3 things. Pulled a hammy in playoff time. It's what he's done since his Clipper days. And DeAndre Ayton goes, you know, he's a no-show every time he gets his feelings hurt. Somebody says something to him on the bench, and so. But I'm with Coach. They're going to do big things this offseason. I see a lot of moves in Phoenix. Their next coach is going to be set up for a lot of success, and Monty will find success somewhere else.
So I gave him some percentage because if I'm giving a coach at least 30% of the success and failure, then I have to give him some. I gave him 20% though, actually less. Yeah, that it wasn't Monty's fault. He shouldn't have been fired. I do assess most of the blame not on the players, not on the GM, but the new owner. This is new owner syndrome all over it. Hey, make the splashy trade. Now, I don't know that Brooklyn is going to hold up that trade if you say, you know what, our depth sucks. Let's keep either Jay Crowder or let's keep Cam Johnson, one of the two. Because I don't think with all the picks we're giving up, with everything else, I don't think they're going to say no to that. But this is really a trade they made for the future. They wanted to get KD in there with Book this year so they could start their relationship off. Really, this was a trade for the next 5 years. So 20%, I think his blame pie goes down.
It looks great.
It did. They ran into a buzzsaw, and that's what happens. But I do blame Monty for this. You cannot have Kevin Durant averaging 44 minutes a game, Devin Booker averaging 44 minutes a game, and Chris Paul averaging 39 minutes a game. That's going to happen. Guess what? Is anybody shocked by the Chris Paul injury? No, he's playing 39 minutes a game. We saw this in Houston. We saw this in OKC. Kevin Durant getting injured. We've seen this before. So I do assess some of the blame on Monty.
Who else plays?
What's he supposed to do? At some point, you have to go ahead and say, let's do. I don't have their roster in front of me, but I mean they got to figure something out to limit minutes. And if that means getting creative with your timeouts to where, hey, there's 30 seconds left in the quarter, let's call timeout. That gives him that 30 seconds and an extra TV timeout for that next, in between the quarters. That's fine. Phil Jackson would have been able to do it. I know that.
Starting what? Lindale and campaign. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. If the choice is Chris Paul part of the time or Chris Paul no time, I'm going to choose Chris Paul part of the time, unlimited time. The last guy is Doc. Okay. So, Coach, Doc Rivers, how much of the blame pie are we giving Doc? Big slice, small slice, medium slice?
He's got to get some.
All of it.
He probably. I don't think he's deserved all of it. I think somewhere there was a disconnect, which I will say it's his responsibility to connect the players and everything. There's a disconnect somewhere. I don't know what happened, but honestly, what happens every time? I mean, honestly, it's like to blame him for something that he's historically known for doing is like asinine. He's known for leading a series and losing. I mean, it's just what this number one thing he's known for. He's not even remembered by winning a championship in Boston anymore. He's just known for having a series and leading the playoffs and losing. That's what he's really known for now, which is crazy because he's an NBA champion. Yeah, it's what his teams are known for, period. It's what he's known for as a coach. I lose game sevens more than anyone. And that's ridiculous. He might be the greatest loser of playoff series since who played for the Lakers and went 1-9 in the finals?
Jerry West.
Jerry West. He's the Jerry West of coaches. It's amazing. He's good. He's good.
No, because he can't even get there. Can't even get there.
Well, he got there once, and he won. He got there a couple times.
Got there 3 times in a row.
Should have won about 5 championships in his NBA coaching career.
So how much pie is that?
gosh, man. I'll say
The number.
35%, because I believe in player. I believe
He's being
players.
nice.
I believe
Podfather, he's being nice.
players win and lose series, and I believe at the end of the day, they just didn't play well. They didn't make buckets. They let Tatum go stupid.
So you heard it here first, okay? Coach thinks Doc Rivers should have twice the size, almost twice the size, blame pie as Mike Budenholzer.
Yeah.
Good job, Coach. Podfather, what you got?
First of all, let me start off with this. The Jerry West comp is more like Marv Levy, okay? Shout out to that Bills hat on your head. That's the Jerry
That's
West
actually
comp, right?
that's a better that is a better one. Yeah, that's the Doc Rivers comp. Yeah,
Yeah. And so
that is.
and so let's talk about Doc Rivers for a second, okay? Coach, you said players lose series. Doc lost this series when he lost his players. And so what I think happens is Doc deserves 75 to 80% of the blame. Okay, here's why. As a coach, in anything you do, your job is to motivate, inspire, lead, teach, and all of these things to get the best that your players can possibly play out of them each and every night. And even if they're not hitting shots, you know what most players play with when they're coached well? Effort. Effort alone
Intensity,
will win
yep.
games. Okay. What we did not see out of Philadelphia when it mattered most was that E word, effort. It wasn't there.
Effort.
And that is on Coach Doc Rivers. We saw it happen in the Clippers. We saw it happen at the end of his tenure in Boston. And now we see it happen in Philadelphia. Listen, I'm not a Doc hater. I think the guy's a great coach. I think he's a good coach, right? He loses his players after a certain amount of time. People can only take but so much of Doc Rivers, and we see it in every franchise. Doc, you get 75, 80%. I can't make up my mind. I'm going to go 90% is the final answer. 90% blame Doc Rivers.
He tucked his tail and ran out of Boston after he realized, oh no, like, hey, I might not have a shot here, and it was too early because what the rebuilding process in Boston went extremely well. Yeah, so I gave him, I thought I was being terrible until Podfather gave that number. I gave him 60% of the blame. Listen, they had top line players, they had depth. So it's hard for me to look at Daryl Morey and be like, hey, you deserve a lot of that blame. The players they had played well. James Harden had 2 incredible games against Boston. Tyrese Maxey played incredible against Boston. Here's where we get into, does Joel Embiid get some of this blame? He probably should, but as an organization, they chose, hey, let's make sure Joel plays that last month. We're going to go ahead and he's going to stat stuff, and we're going to go ahead and have him go out there. Even when they pretty much had the 3 seed locked up. They had the 3 or 4 seed locked up. And instead, it was an organizational and probably an individual proposal that, hey, I'm going after the MVP. That's the difference between a decent coach and an all-time great coach. Now, we're seeing the flip side of that in Denver, where Jokic said the last month, whatever, we have the first seed locked up. Let's try and do something. And Mike Malone was, hey, let's get weird with our rotation. Let's get some players out there who are going to need in crunch time. Let's try and get some guys going. Embiid wins the MVP. Denver is up 2 games in a Western Conference Finals. So that's a Doc issue.
I'll say this. I love it for me because at least I was right about Embiid winning MVP, right? So I'm glad that he came in, he played that last month and did all of that stat stuff for him. Love that for me. Hate that for you guys. And I love it for us that Doc got fired, because anybody that wins a championship in Boston need not coach anywhere any longer. So love that for us also.
So I got a better comparison. For NFL, if we're going to go NFL coaches, I think Marty Schottenheimer is the Doc Rivers version. It seemed like all his teams were like,
can't even get you there. Yeah, can't even get you to
1 or 2 seeds, and they all get bounced out of the playoffs in a abrupt fashion.
Marv Levy, listen, I don't think it was ever Levy's fault. I don't think Levy ever lost those Super Bowls. I think there were other things that happened during Thurman Thomas couldn't find his friggin' helmet to start one game. Scott Norwood, I mean, it's just listen, they are what they are, and the other two weren't even close.
Never
So
had a chance
it's
against Dallas.
right. So it's
Yeah,
again
we're
that
gonna
was
hear that a
blame
lot
pie.
this year.
Yeah.
We're gonna hear that a lot this year. Didn't have a
But
chance.
what? Never
Against
had a
Dallas.
chance against Dallas.
Yes.
Speaking of football, real quick before we go on to our last breaking news. Again, it's Friday, May 19th. Have you checked your phones?
No.
Lost a great one. Jim Brown died.
Oh no.
Oh,
Jim Brown. Jim Brown dies at 87.
Oh, I didn't know
He
that.
passed away peacefully in his Los Angeles home on Thursday.
Good for him.
So they announced. I think we all had him as on our top 4 Mount Rushmore. Check that out on TikTok. Just not only a great football player, great human being, did a lot for social causes. Underrated actor. He was what a great speaker. I mean, the way he interacted with young players and tried to instill why the NFL is great and why it needs to continue to be great and why kids need to continue to play football and why it's an important team sport that goes beyond the gridiron. Again, rest in power, Jim Brown, all-time running back.
Absolutely. And a lot of people have Jim Brown as the best football player to ever play the game. So I know it's usually a toss up between that Jerry Rice, Tom Brady, Jim Brown. There seems like there's 3 levels, but Jim Brown's always in that conversation. So yeah, absolutely. Prayers for the family for sure.
Now getting back to our topics, our last big topic. In case you guys are done with NBA, if you haven't turned off the podcast, yeah, we're going to talk a little baseball. So, Coach, you go ahead. You really wanted to talk about this.
We'll go from death to resurrection. That's where we're going to go right now.
Wow.
So my topic, the conversation when we were talking, yeah, I know, because listen, it's a thing. So when we were talking about what we were going to talk about this week, I immediately knew. What did Wayno do? What did Adam Wainwright do? Because that's the question. Because he come back in physical play and gets on the field, and it seems like the Cardinals are a different organization. And in fact, before he came on, he came back the second game of the Detroit series. So the first game of the Detroit series, that's when we had our podcast, when we talked about what's going on and how to fix the Cardinals. And I said, you just have to wait. You have to play the waiting game because the system, the way it's set up, was based upon people doing new things for the first time. You just have to wait and let people make mistakes and let things fall into place. And I don't know why. I don't know what Adam Wainwright piece fell into place, besides the fact that when he gets on the field, he provides leadership in ways that other people can't. He's been there. He's been taught by the greats. And the one that took him under the wing was Chris Carpenter. The Bulldog himself took him under the wing. And it was like, this is the way we play. This is what we do. This is how we do it. And he carries the flag, and it's a fun thing to watch. But I will tell you, we went from losing 10 games in a row, being 10 games out of first place, to going 9-2, being 6 games out of first place, going on a tear on both sides. It seemed like the Cardinals couldn't do anything right. And part of that had to do with the fact that they were on a slide. Part of that, everybody was tight. Everybody wanted to win a game. The coaches could not make a decent decision to save their life. It seemed like every person they brought out of the bullpen was the one that led up the home run, every one of them. And now it goes from that to like now they can't make a bad decision. Now everybody's hitting home runs. Nobody's tight anymore. I mean, we're putting up 16 runs on the Dodgers on Urias, who I wouldn't have been shocked if he shut us out for 7 innings and we still played a different game. And we're coming back on teams. We're winning 2 out of 3 against Chicago, winning 2 out of 3 against Milwaukee. Now we win the first game against the Dodgers. And like, don't get wrong, in that 10-game losing streak, we got swept by Anaheim and by the Dodgers. And I think the Dodgers walked into St. Louis and said, oh, this is a different team than we played a couple weeks ago. I mean, you got Donovan making catches out of his mind. You got The coach is making crazy calls right now. Edmund playing outfield, making miraculous catches. You got Burleson making, Donovan making. Everybody's doing everything. Gordon, I got a couple facts for you guys. So just for what it is, so the offense, who was anemic during that point, now ranks second in the National League for runs scored, fourth in the whole league in runs scored after that anemic start. And that's crazy considering they're still one of the worst records in baseball. Their pitching has gotten super consistent. Gorman is now tied for fourth in home runs into all of the major leagues. Liberatore, minor leaguer of the month the previous month. They looked like the minor league team couldn't do nothing wrong. They called up Libby, and guess what? He came out, provided a great 5 innings the other night. Contreras, who was like being deemed as an outfielder for a moment, it seemed like, now comes back, catches 2 and 3 games in a row. All were great pitching called games. He's all of a sudden on a fire now. It's 2 home runs, 6 RBIs last night. It's the whole thing's changed, and this is baseball. This is what baseball is. Your team will go through a losing streak, and the world's ending. And then all of a sudden, you start winning. Well, the good teams will start winning. A lot of teams, in fact, the Braves, I forget what it was when they won 2 years ago, I believe. They were like one of the worst teams in baseball all the way up till the end of May, and then it flipped. And just like baseball does, it's a beautiful story. They go on to win the World Series. I'm not saying we're going to win the World Series yet, but all I'm saying is we're only 6 games out of first place, and I don't trust anybody in front of us.
Podfather? I mean, you're the baseball connoisseur.
I am. No, I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago when Coach came in here and did his rant on the Redbirds. Right, he went on a rant, and I think we all discussed then, like, the biggest problem with the Redbirds at that point was their bats were doing nothing. But we see it now. Arenado, Gorman, Lars, and then you said it, man. I remember you complained specifically a couple weeks ago that catching Contreras was playing horrible. Like, oh, is he really the guy? Is he the guy for us? Like, what is he doing? And now he's hit a hot streak. And so just looking at some stats, I don't follow it very closely. But no, I think the bats waking up is really key to what they're doing. So not as good as the
Arenado,
Orioles,
6 home runs out of his last 7 games.
Yeah, no, and they're not as good as the Orioles, but they're playing well.
I'd bet my bottom dollar they finish with a better record than the Orioles.
I wouldn't make that bet. I would lose that
I
bet.
know. I wouldn't make that bet if I was you either.
But as of right now, I got bragging rights.
So I have some stats to go along with it, because as soon as you said that, I went, okay, interesting topic. Let me take a deeper dive into this, right? So 9 and 3 since his return, right? Before Waino, they were giving up 4.9 runs a game. Okay. After his return, that's gone down to 4 runs a game. Okay. Coincidence? I don't know. Before his return, scoring 4.2 runs a game. After, and this is factoring in last night's win, okay, 7.5 runs a game.
Wow.
If you take out the 18-run game, the other night, so the Aberration and last night's, they're still averaging 5.6 runs a game. That's still huge. I mean, these are huge numbers. But I think we kind of hit it on the head with the pitching. Got some pitching numbers for you, because everybody loves me just saying numbers, but this is wild to me. Steven Matz, last 2 games, 10 innings pitched, 4 earned runs given up, which is good. 2 earned runs a game, you're going to get a win out of that. That's a quality start. Miles McCollus, right? 2 games since Waino's return, 10 innings pitched, 2 earned runs given up. Jack Flaherty, 12 innings pitched, 2 games, 3 earned runs given up. And the gem that you talked about, Libby, right? May 17th, 5 innings pitched, 0 earned runs given up, 6 strikeouts. Now, I don't know if it's because Waino came back, because him coming off of the IL means, I mean, it's not like he's off in rehab or something. He's not doing crazy things away from the team. He's still there. He's still traveling with the team. You saw him in the dugout. He's still talking to the people. But there's this mental block that people have to get over, especially young players and organizational players, that when we have Waino, we have a stopper. he's going to stop the bleeding. Now, Waino himself hasn't pitched well. In the 3 starts, has not pitched well. 2 out of 3 starts have been wins, and that's what matters. So, excellent there. Great stuff.
Yeah.
Will it continue? Probably. They're only going to get better. Again, pitching is going to continue to get better, and if this offense continues to pick it up like they've been, they're going to be just fine.
Moved to a 6-man starting rotation last week. I think that'll help too a little bit with some of the veterans and stuff like because Waino probably needs that extra day. A couple of them, it'll help out a lot. I think giving Libby a chance. I mean, he was just pitching too good in the minor leagues. We couldn't do it, and we got all of a sudden like our minor league system is looking ridiculous. We got Lucan Baker in the minor leagues leading the league in home runs.
Home runs.
Nowhere for him to go. Nowhere. Paul DeYoung hitting 300 plus 300, hitting home runs, striking out less. I don't know what to say about that. I don't believe it's true. I will not believe in that for a season.
Get those stats up, baby, because we need to trade you.
That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping for a Baker, a DeYoung, a couple pieces. I mean, you got Carlson's not playing that well. O'Neill's not playing that well. I'm glad O'Neill's kind of hurt a little bit. I was talking to my dad about this the other day, and he was telling me, I was telling him, I was like, I'm glad that he's getting hurt again now instead of having a decent season and us throwing a bag at him and then keeping him for later on because I think he's coming up on the end of his time. And I think it'd be one of those things. It'd be a good departure. He'll go to like Toronto or he'll go to Minnesota and he'll hit 35 home runs and he'll probably have a great career, but he won't do it. I don't think he'll do it in the Cardinals uniform. I think there's just a little too much pressure. I do believe that that's one of the problems with having a great fan base. They're always on you. It's always high expectations. The lights are bright in New York, but I think the fans put pressure on you in St. Louis too. Not as much as New York because New York's just a different animal. But I do believe that there is a lot of expectations when you put on the birds and bats. In fact, I would even say probably more than the Dodgers. There's so many stars out there. They just need a couple of them to come through, and they're going to win. But for the Cardinals, they need you to do your part. And so we'll see what happens the rest of the season. I'm looking forward to keep talking about it. I'm excited. I was excited at the beginning of the season. I lost a lot of hope, and it's starting to come back.
Hope's a great thing. Success is even better. And like Jim Brown said, success is not only for the elite. Success is there for those who want it, plan for it, and take action to achieve it. We hope and wish you guys success. Make sure you, again, like, you subscribe, you follow, see us on TikTok, see us on Twitter. Make sure you're following all our catchy videos. We're posting daily. For Coach Frank LaFada, for Podfather Alex Gullett, I'm Paul Teach Nelson. We'll see you next week.
Great job.